19-year-old Trayon Christian from Queens went into a Barneys to purchase a $350 belt that he really wanted. He had been saving money from his paychecks just to buy that belt because some rapper that he really likes also has the belt. Now, he's in the wrong at the moment, but he will be in the right later. It turns out that after he went to go pay for that $350 belt, the cashier felt that he was very suspicious because he was shopping while black. So how could a black kid who's 19 years old afford a $350 belt? She literally called the authorities, and undercover police officers arrived at the scene and they started questioning him. They literally detained him and continued to question him. Okay, he had to call Chase Bank and prove his identity, and he had to prove that he was legally paying for the $350 belt. He is now suing Barneys as a result of that.
And he should.
I hope he wins big.
I know.
I hope he wins big, man.
Enough to afford several belts produced by rappers, or at least worn by rappers. Look, it's hard for people to understand what others go through. So if you haven't seen a black kid go through this kind of racism, and it's just not within your perspective, you might think like, oh, we hear from conservatives from time to time. They're always whining about racism. But if you are the black kid and you're trying to buy an expensive thing and you have the money for it and you're trying to buy it and they still want to detain you and question you, well, it's frustrating. Like, I'm just trying to get the folks that haven't experienced it, take just for a second, sit there and acknowledge, go, yeah, that would suck. Like, that's never happened to me. So it's, and so I'm lucky, but you don't even, if it's never happening, you don't even realize you're lucky.
Well, that's right? Like the definition of white privilege, is that you can benefit from it without having to even be aware that it exists. And when I taught a race and media class, and when I would explain white privilege, there would always be a couple of, I'm going to call them frat boys, but a couple of white students who would raise their arms and say, no, I never benefited from anything like that. Yeah, but you've never been stopped in Barneys when you're just trying to buy an overpriced belt. And that's the thing. Like, we can have a black president, but these systems exist that have existed for a very long time that benefit us in a million different ways that we don't even have to be aware of every single day. But I will say this, I will never buy a $350 belt because then I would feel obligated to tuck in every shirt that I wore from that point on. Because they're going to see it. Yeah,
so just one point that I want to make about all people who want to buy a $350 belt. Don't buy a $350 belt. Like, I can't think of, if anything, he learned a lesson from this. He says he'll never shop from Barneys again. And I'm actually happy about that, right? Because if you're 19 years old and you have to save multiple paychecks to pay for a belt, you shouldn't be buying that belt. And I'm not trying to make him like the bad guy here. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. But that's it's like this virus in America where people who aren't wealthy feel the need to buy insanely overpriced crap.
I mean, there's a rule of don't spend too much money on crap you don't need. Unless it gets you laid.
In which case it's totally justified.
Because you really want to associate yourself with women that care about that.
About belts.
Hey, I guess that means, or what we like to call women.
That's mischaracterization, and I do not appreciate it.
And by the way, let's point out, women, for the most part, some men perhaps, women buy bags that cost more than $350.
They oddly want to impress other women.
Exactly.
That's really what it's
when's
about.
the last time you heard a guy say oh, nice bag, now I'm really interested in finding it.
Totally. No, it's crazy. But I tell you, what I like about the story is that, I don't like anything about the story, but what I like about him is, okay, it's stupid if you can't afford it to buy the $350 belt, but you know what? I have no reaction like that. That's like people get, just like rich people, poor people get to make the same stupid financial decisions that we all make. Rich people buy yachts or short Google, and make mistakes or whatever. He saved up paycheck. He didn't blow one paycheck. He can't not pay his rent. He saved up paycheck after paycheck.
How do you don't know all that? You're
it
making
says he saved up multiple paychecks.
Yeah, he did, which is stupid for a belt.
Yeah, but he wanted the belt. If he'd saved up and bought Grand Theft Auto 5 or 7 or whatever, which one is it?
5. Yeah.
If you bought Grand Theft Auto 5, which is also $350.
It's like $65 with tax, I assume.
Okay, well,
whatever.
Thank you.
You're not making a good point. The belt costs $10 to make.
So he spent, I bet it costs, I bet it's Italian made, I bet it's handmade, I bet it costs more. So the $300, but if he'd saved up to buy a PlayStation 3.
That's a good point.
No one would care about the story. He's styling. Go forward. Peculiar, somewhat peculiar, I think, but we all save up to buy stuff.